on, let's go, boy!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another 3BG at the movies, and this is a special one for me, at least. We're talking about the movie Maxine, and this is a tale of two viewpoints about this movie. On one hand, you got me. I had seen Pearl and X before seeing Maxine, so my expectations of Maxine was just like, how is this movie going to, finish out this trilogy of films? What I didn't know was that Sue never seen the previous two films. And it wasn't until after we both saw it, Axel was like, yeah, so did you see X and Pearl? And he's like, nah, I didn't see X and Pearl. Those are connected. I was like, yeah. Which
when you told me about those other two movies, I said, wait a minute. They were connected to this? Well, okay, because I'd never seen them before. Yeah. And so when I went in to see this movie, again, I went into it completely blind. I just knew that, it took place in the 80s. It was about an adult film star and horror. So I said, okay.
It's up Sue's wheelhouse. Just say 80s, and that's it.
Like, all of this was definitely in my wheelhouse. So I said, okay, I want to check this out. I want to see it for what it was. Not knowing that there were two other movies that existed that tie this whole thing together. And I said, but then I noticed I didn't need to really see those other movies.
And I think that's the beauty of this film. You as an audience, you went in completely clean. And I would say this, this movie does do a good job of kind of giving you the vague idea of what happened to the character in X. So even if you didn't watch X, the movie does kind of like throw in certain things of like, oh, she was in this thing that happened. Oh, okay, cool. Because X took place like in the late 70s. So this is like 3-4 years later and stuff. So even if you didn't watch X, you understand like, oh, she's running away from something.
Right.
Basically. The whole thing of Maxine, to Sue was saying, is like it takes place in the 80s and we're following Maxine Minks as she's pretty much trying to carve herself out in Hollywood, essentially. And based off of all, while she's doing that, the Night Stalker character, which is actually based off of a real serial killer in Hollywood, and the Night Stalker has connections to Maxine, and this Night Stalker is killing off people left and right, and at the center of it is Maxine, and pretty much it's a mystery slasher flick of sorts,
like suspense slasher.
I echo Sue's point. Kevin Bacon chewed scenery, ate it up.
Kevin Bacon was invited to a buffet.
Oh, the buffet was delicious, apparently.
And that buffet was called Scenery. Because good Lord was he my favorite. He was my favorite character throughout this whole movie.
I didn't even know he was in the movie until so basically this whole, like I said, it structures around Maxine being in Hollywood in the 80s and her connection to the Night Stalker. Kevin Bacon plays a private investigator, and as soon as they get connected, it's like off to the races on scenery chewing. And it's the good kind of scenery chewing. It ain't terrible. Bro, this is like great.
Brother, he was a private investigator from New Orleans.
Oh, man. The New Orleans accent and everything.
Dude, when he went in for that accent, I watched him perform with that accent. I'm like, it's gonna be a good movie.
Yeah, it was already a good movie. I was already in, but I was like, oh, Bacon is in there? Okay, let's go.
It was just Bacon, and then hearing Bacon with with that freaking spicy accent, I'm like, it's gonna be a good movie. It's gonna be a good movie.
Not to be remiss, we got the exquisite acting of Giancarlo Esposito, who does the best I'm the 80s manager with the freaking sweatsuit on. It's perfect.
Sweatsuit. This man had the sweatsuit, the taco meat hanging out.
Bro, it was perfect. You get anybody else, it's like, it might work, but nah, Giancarlo, he nailed the agent that's working for his client and is going to do everything he can to make sure he succeeds and everything. It's great.
It's called protecting your investment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when your client is a porn star, hey, you gotta protect the money there, buddy.
Well, a porn star trying to cross over into mainstream.
Yeah, and I think that's the greatest thing too, is that if you're somebody that's fascinated with the 80s, the one thing that I appreciate out of this movie wasn't obnoxious with this 80s-ness.
I was just gonna say
Like
that the movie does not beat you over the
like
head with 80s, like 80s
you
aesthetic.
see this lunchbox?
Neon.
You see
Look,
this?
you see Xbox, you see the Ghostbusters, you see Beverly Hills Cop, like Prince.
No,
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 no, no.
doesn't do any of
This movie does a good job of kind of it sets the 80s so well that you kind of get embodied in it as the audience member in a way. Like you're
right.
like, man, I wish I was here in the 80s. Like just everything. It's peak 80s Hollywood, top to bottom. The sleaziness all the way to like just, like you said, Beverly Hills and everything that's happened there and the Hollywood. Like it really, and that's very rare to do that because like more often than not, a lot of Hollywood movies, when it's set in a time period, they get really kind of obnoxious about it. And your miles are going to vary on whether you enjoyed it or you're just kind of like, okay, movie, sure, thanks. 80s, yay, sure.
It's like, listen, I love that decade too, but come on,
Easy.
Can we really just rein it in? I mean, I get it. It's one
Easy
of
on
my
the
favorite,
deep throat.
you know.
Hate to say it, does.
Pull it back an inch or two.
Yeah, just pull it back here, like, and like, look,
don't forget to breathe.
and look,
no. I mean, for me, it was like I get it. I love the decade as well, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah. And you know what? That's
we lived through that decade.
Yeah, and that's what I like about the director. Director is T.I. West. Like when you look at X, right? That's taking place in the late 70s. He really nailed that time period of the late 70s for what he was going for, because the X was basically straight up a horror slasher movie, kind of like Jason. And he set that up because the vibe of the visuals of that movie of X and all that stuff had a very Texas Chainsaw Massacre visual to it. And even in Pearl, which takes place years before X, which follows the Pearl character from X, like he set that time period up that also wasn't obnoxious about his time period, and stuff. And I think that's the mark of a good director, when he knows, all right, maybe I don't need to get stupid with the 80s, but let me at least set the tone for what I'm going for.
Like basically, you don't let the aesthetic, overtake the movie.
Yeah, and as much as like the plot, I kind of feel dumb a little bit because there were some very red herring stuff at the beginning to set up the plot twist of this film. I was like, I feel stupid I didn't catch that. And like watching it a second time, it's like, oh, of course, but I'm not even mad at it. It's just like, why did I not catch that?
When I was in the theater, I caught it like, I want to say midway through the movie. And as soon as I swear to you, I sat there and I said, oh, I know what's going. Okay, nope. I'm not gonna say nothing. Let's see what happens. And when it happened, I'm like, bingo, there it is.
And I'm not even the plot twist. I'm not mad at it. I actually thought it was fine.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things in my head. I was like, why the hell did I not catch that? Damn, I'm really off my game today. Like
I was like, yeah, I was able to catch that. What I wasn't ready for was, well, I won't say where it is, but there was another plot twist, and I got a good laugh out of that.
Yeah. I did, like I said, I loved like the visuals of the movie. It popped with the 80s and stuff, even down to the film grain, to really kind of that, because again, that's
give it that grindhouse effect.
Yeah, which I mean, that's and I think that's something else, because there were a lot of us talking about like how whenever they do a movie in the 80s, like a lot of people kind of like, film snobs, they kind of complain about how like the movie looks too clean looking to be the 80s. And I kind of get that a little bit, because maybe they have you have a particular vision of what you think of the 80s and stuff. And I think this movie does hit the grainy 80s look, even down to the, people, what the characters are wearing, what's on TV. Like there's one of the characters, he's a black guy, he runs a video store. Me as somebody that used to work in a video store, like they nailed that aesthetic of like the video store in the 80s.
Especially all the horror movies, because because of the movie's theme, like the guy that worked the video store, you just saw like one whole section that was just nothing but horror movies, and you could pretty much play a game of spot the movie, like what movie cover do you see?
Yeah, the music, great. Again, it's one of those, hey, I remember that song, that kind of
solid,
stuff.
Solid soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack is great. The cinematography dope at points because there's some key, like when people get killed or harmed, the movie doesn't shy away from it at all. Like, period. Somebody gets stabbed, it's like, oh, you're seeing it. Like, it's there. It's visceral as shit.
Yeah, they don't cheat it. They don't pull back. No, no pulling of punches here. Like, you're gonna see the visceral nature of each kill in this movie.
Oh yeah. Like I said, the sound past the music is great because it kind of, again, it keeps you kind of ingrained. I kind of wondering if this movie could be built for 40x because I did kind of like the sounds in certain parts of the movie, but I don't know.
I don't think so because there wasn't a whole lot of like it wasn't on that level of action. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just only thinking for like the tense moments, it will probably pop, but yeah, it probably ain't worth
it. I mean, if they did try to make this movie for 40x, it would be a very different experience. Like, your chair would not rock as much. I think you might get a solid 2.5 rocks out of that whole movie.
I don't know, man. The seats might rock at Kevin Bacon's acting. Like, oh shit, cheesy. He's eating it.
Well, there is a junkyard. Yeah, there was a junkyard scene where I can imagine the chairs just not rocking back and forth, but you would get like a solid rumble.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like this is a really good movie. Like you said, to your point though, even if you've never seen X and Pearl, you can definitely go into this film standalone and it still works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to Mia Goth who plays Maxine. Love her. She's fucking killing it. clearly.
She did
but like
thing for sure.
But I think both of us are definitely on the same page as like Kevin Bacon was like the GOAT in this movie.
He was the MVP of the movie.
MVP easily. Like I said, everybody in this movie is acting their ass off. Do not get it twisted on this. Right. But it's just Kevin Bacon from
the most
scene
memorable.
One. It's like done. It's like this guy is earning all his bucks in this movie.
Dude, he sits, there's a scene where he sits Maxine down at a restaurant and was like, go ahead, order yourself something.
kind of gave that Matthew McConaughey and Wolf of Wall Street vibes a little bit. It's like, that's another guy that chews scenery in Wolf of Wall Street. It's like, those are rookie numbers. You got to pump things up. The best line ever. But Kevin Bacon is like, come on, pour yourself out there. It's like,
come on, have yourself have yourself a drink. Yo, when he put it's the accent that got me. I'm surprised because because it's the 80s. I'm surprised he ain't hit her with you don't want a shot of cocaine or nothing.
Hey, look, I was waiting for him to bust out a bump of cocaine and just, all right, Maxine, let's talk.
I get it. He's a private investigator, but come on, you're trying to get her on your side and all that.
You're drinking on the job. cocaine wouldn't be out of.
It's really not out of the question.
Out of the question on that. So, but anyways, like I said, this is a very quick review because I feel this movie is definitely worth your time, folks, to definitely catch. Because trust me, I might get all three of these movies if they put it in a box set.
I need that. I need that box set just so I can have them all together and I can see the connections.
Oh yeah. Because just as an aside, like I said, Pearl is the prequel to X because it's basically following the Pearl character, but that Pearl character had a direct influence on Maxine as a person, which influenced what you see in the Maxine film. So they're all connected in a way that it's like, oh, you kind of understand like the headspace of Maxine and just everything else and stuff. But like I said, again, don't have to see X and Pearl. You can just watch Maxine stand alone and you'd be perfectly fine. Like,
you can definitely see it. As a matter of fact, seeing Maxine by itself, it's more mystery because there's a couple of moments where there's flashbacks that take place. And I'll be honest, from the flashbacks, I thought we were going to get like a third act full flashback that revealed everything.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't happen, I'm thinking, oh, maybe there's something else to this. And then that's when it hit. That's when you had told me about the other movies, and I go, oh, now I gotta watch them. Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyways, definitely go check out Pearl. Oh, I say Pearl. Maxine. It's still in theaters. I'm pretty sure it's gonna probably be on VOD at some point and stuff. I mean,
if it hasn't hit VOD already.
Yeah, if it hasn't hit VOD already and stuff. But definitely worth to watch. It's definitely interesting. Look, I probably say I'm more of a slasher fan than like an outright horror fan. So this was definitely up my alley in terms of just like, all right, cool. I can dig this and stuff. Because like you said, the suspense aspect of it too is definitely pretty good as well.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyways, folks, that is it for 3BG at the movies. We will catch you guys later. Peace.